Welcome back to the channel, or hello if you are new. My name is Angela. I am a fantasy writer, an American living in London, someone who loves to read, and a major introvert. Today's vlog is going to be kind of like an introvert vlog to kind of show you guys what my normal weekends look like. As such, you can expect just cozy hobbies in today's video, some fun nights at home, and different projects that I'm working on. So the first big announcement and life update is that this morning I went and ran 15 kilometers because this is actually week 1 of training for the Valencia Marathon. This will be my second marathon. The first one didn't go the best. I did not have like the best time mentally. So my only real goal for this one is to just hopefully like have a better time mentally, to enjoy it more. I would like to maybe get a slightly faster time as well, but that's kind of like a secondary goal. So after the 15-kilometer 9-mile run this morning, we went and got pancakes. There's a place near us that was like an all-you-can-eat pancake special for £5. It's actually a chain that's located all over London. It's called Bill's. Honestly, we were both expecting to be able to eat like giant plates of pancakes and like multiple plates, but we barely finished our first plate each because the servings were just super generous. It is an amazing deal, and it was just really fun to kind of get out of the house and do something different on a Friday morning instead of just rolling out of bed and logging on to work, which is what I normally do. The other super exciting project that we are starting this weekend is I am starting a new novel. For those of you who are new to my channel, I'm actually currently writing a dark academia fantasy novel. That novel is basically all ready for querying, so I started it in January of 2024. I wrote it in about 3 months, spent a ton of time revising it, got some beta readers to read it and give me some feedback, incorporated that feedback, and am now just like proofreading it in order to get it ready for agents. But in the meantime, I also really wanted to start another project. It's a spin-off fantasy novel that takes place in the same world as that first one. It follows 2 prickly anti-hero characters from the first book, and I am so excited to be writing this project. We will actually get started drafting that project tomorrow. Today I just kind of want to review the outline and then also just like spend some time reading because I haven't had a ton of time to read this week. It's been super hectic with work, and yeah, I just really want to read. Later tonight, my partner actually booked some Shakespeare tickets for us. I am so excited. It's outdoors, and the weather said it was going to rain today, but at least right now it is sunny outside. Let's hope the sun stays because there's nothing better than Shakespeare outdoors in the summertime. Saturday has been super rainy, which is kind of exciting because it hasn't rained a lot recently, and it just set the exact right vibes for writing my book. As you guys saw from the footage, I was definitely, how do I describe it? I was definitely struggling with writer's block when I first started, because this is actually the first time I've started a net new creative writing project since January of 2024. So it felt super overwhelming. But once I finally got past all the procrastination, I did end up writing quite a few words, and it's definitely not a perfect first chapter, but it's done and it's a foundation that I'll be able to build off of during revision. Since the project is so new, I thought it would be really fun to go over how I outline my novels. So I started thinking about this project probably back in April of this year. It was actually the beta reader feedback that inspired me to kind of work on this project, because everyone loved this character in the first book, and I thought I loved this character too, and she just deserves her own book. So that's kind of where I got the inspiration for writing this book. From there, I just kind of ruminated about ideas in my head, had a couple of songs I feel like really captured the vibe of certain scenes or different vibes I wanted to bring to the project. I started building out a playlist. In 1 week only, I outlined the entire project, did the Pinterest board, did some journaling about the characters. I love plotting on my computer, but when it comes to character development, I love writing in a journal because it just feels so much more personal, and I feel like I can get more into the characters' heads and really understand their motivation when I'm writing something down on paper. So that's kind of what I did in order to get the project ready. I outlined that fast because I don't really think, for my own writing process, this is not for everyone, I don't really think a lot of the magic happens in the outlining phase. It happens a lot in the editing phase. So I try to get through the outline and the first draft as fast as possible so I can get to the editing, which is where the project really becomes refined and something that I would want other people to read. That was kind of the outlining phase of it. I spent about an hour to 2 hours for 5 days outlining it. Then today I sat down, wrote the first chapter. Like I said, it was tough at first, but the words eventually came and then they kind of rolled out, and I ended up writing 2,300 words, which is quite good for me in one morning, especially with a new project where I'm very unfamiliar with the characters so far. In case you're wondering, I am working on this project while working full-time. I do work remote, and I want to acknowledge there's privilege in that because I don't have commute time, but the way that I write novels while working full-time really comes down to treating novel writing almost like a second job. Maybe I'll try to see if I can put like an image of when I write here, but I write for an hour and 30 minutes each morning, and then usually a half an hour to an hour in the evening. I am most productive in the morning, so I really try to use that time wisely, but then I find it's just really good for me to revisit the project right before going to bed, because then the ideas are fresh when I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I'm a little bit more critical in the evenings, so I'm really good at editing projects in the evenings. Because I'm still working on my first novel right now, the way I've divided this up is that in the mornings I'm writing new work, and then in the evenings I'm trying to read through 2 chapters and just proofread it, make the wording better, so the story and the characters and all the big elements of this novel, the first novel, I really like right now, but some of the wording I feel like could be beefed up and stronger. So that's really what I'm focusing on in that project right now. And like I said, in the mornings, I'm writing on this new project, and then on the weekends, I'll be writing on the new project. I usually try to devote at least one weekend day, almost like a 9 to 5 to novel writing. So like I said, it is very organized. It's very rigorous. It's not super flowy, but is instead like a regimented routine. So it's almost like I am being creative, but I'm scheduling in when I'm going to be creative. I think if you do have a lot going on, like a full-time job, family obligations, whatever, you really do have to be a little bit strict with yourself about making the time, because it is so easy to just kind of fill up that time with extra work or chores around the house or cleaning or whatever it is. But you're going to feel so much better if you do make that time for those projects that you really care about. Along with having a routine, I also set deadlines for myself. So every 2 weeks or so, I have a deadline for any writing projects that I'm working on. And then I also have like little tinier task in between that, so I almost consider it like 2-week sprints. So when it's a new project, it's more just like write 10,000 words in 2 weeks. But when it's an editing project, it can be like edit chapter 1, edit chapter 2, edit chapter 3, whatever it is. And so then I just kind of go through and kind of check those off, or I record my word count each day. And being able to have those deadlines, holding myself accountable to them, and also having a visual way to track progress really helps me stay motivated. It makes it feel like there's a little bit of pressure on the project, because if we're being completely honest, these projects are at this point kind of just for me. No one else is expecting them to be published. I don't have an agent or a publisher, there's no readership. And so I really feel like when that's the case, it can be really hard to motivate yourself on days when you're tired or just not feeling it. And so these deadlines kind of act in place of that external motivation. With this process, I am hoping to be able to draft the first draft of this book in 3 months. You can hold me accountable to that. Come back 3 months later and see if I've done that. But if you want to subscribe in the meantime too and watch some more videos, also perfectly acceptable. Super awkward self-promo moment there. The other thing about all this is that this is just my process. There's no right or wrong way to write a book, as long as you are doing it yourself. And so someone else's process might look entirely different than mine, and that is a-okay. Now that we've kind of gotten the writing out of the way for the day, I just really want to chill and get back into reading. Right now I'm currently reading People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, and then I am listening to, what is the name of it? It's by Ashley Poston. It's like her newest book about a singer and songwriter who write a song together, and it sounds like love. So I'm listening to that on the Libby app on my phone. I am almost done with that one. Not almost done with People We Met on Vacation, but I'm gonna be so honest. I am a little bit fatigued from reading 2 contemporary romance novels at the same time. The thing about Emily Henry's writing is that it's so engaging and fun. I really think I'm just going to fall into this book and hopefully finish it today. Tomorrow we can start a fantasy book. I think I know which one I'm gonna start, but I'm gonna leave you all in suspense until tomorrow to tell you which one I'm gonna read. I always have 2 books going at once. One is always an audiobook that I listen to when I'm walking, doing chores, at the gym, and then the other one is a physical book or Kindle book. Usually I don't like to read in 2 different genres, because some genres like fantasy or historical fiction, I start to like confuse details just because there's so many intricate details to those books. I also am not someone who reads deeply into one genre. I personally love a mix of all genres. I will read historical fiction, I will read fantasy, I will read literary fiction, I will read cute contemporary novels, I will read thrillers occasionally. I don't read as many thrillers as the other genres. One genre that I don't ever really read is nonfiction books. I just really prefer fiction. For me, reading is an escape, and it's a really great way to just feel less anxious, not really think as much about the real world, and to kind of just melt into a story. And fiction really does that for me, whereas a lot of nonfiction books make me feel like there's things I need to improve about my life, or that I'm really grounded in the real world, when what I really want to be grounded in is a story that's just kind of separate from the world that we live in. Writing, reading, and workouts, like fitness stuff, are really my 3 main hobbies. They're all super introverted, as you can tell, although I do sometimes try to go to a run club. I would actually love to have one other hobby that is kind of like reading, where it's like not on a screen, and maybe something more I can do with my hands. So when we first moved into this apartment, I actually designed a lot of the artwork in the apartment, and I created the postcard collages that are behind me. I really loved those projects. I'm a horrible drawer, so I didn't draw any of the art, but I love the idea of kind of creating collages and kind of almost like a junk journal or like scrapbooking, something like that that's very tactile. So I would love to get more into that, and I think it would be a really fun way to, yeah, just spend less time on screens. But I haven't done that yet. And to be honest, if you couldn't tell from this video so far, training for a marathon and trying to write these novels is already a lot, so I don't have as much free time for other things as I would like, but I'm hoping in 2026, which I know is so far away right now, but I am such a planner. I'm so type A. So I'm hoping in 2026 I can make more time for some sort of fun, cozy, tactile hobby. Today I have a 6-kilometer run, so a little bit over 3 miles, somewhere between 3 to 4 miles. I personally love counting in kilometers because kilometers go faster than miles. And I'm just procrastinating on going for this run by talking to you all a little bit, but I thought it could be kind of fun to go over what my marathon training plan split is. So I'm running 3 to 4 times a week, lifting twice a week, doing yoga once a week, and then trying to do like stretching for recovery almost every day. I was recently injured in April. I've been running since I was 12. I've had 2 semi-serious hip injuries in that time. So the last one was in April of this year, and I had to take 6 weeks off from running. Luckily now I'm back to it. Not really having a lot of pain, which is great, but I found for me personally that like recovery piece and then also the weightlifting piece is huge. And when it comes to lifting for lower body, I was giving the advice after my last injury to just do single leg exercises. When you're running and most movements in life in general, your legs are not working together, they're working separately. And a lot of us have slight muscle imbalances. So by training each leg individually, you can kind of address those muscle imbalances and you can build up strength that is relevant to running. Another like marathon or running favorite thing is Shox headphones because fun fact, I was wearing my normal AirPods and I kept almost getting run over by cars because I wasn't hearing things. So these you can like put on and they don't go inside your ear, they kind of go on the outside of your ear, and so it makes it much safer to run. Today we have to run, and then the other thing I forgot to mention is that at least once a week I'm trying to do like 5 to 10 minutes of core either before or after my run. So we're gonna try to do that after my run today. It's so hard to convince myself to like do anything after running, like right after running, but hopefully by filming this, I will keep myself accountable to actually doing that core. It was probably the best run I've done since my injury, and so of course I had to reward myself with a donut afterwards, and it was kind of rainy during the run, but then afterwards it was just cloudy, so it was really good to get a donut. And I literally came home after that and have just spent basically the entire afternoon reading. I promised you all I was going to tell you what book I'm reading next, and it is Enchantra. I loved the first book in this series. So this is the second book in the series, but it's not like a series as in like a Brandon Sanderson series or Sarah J Maas series where you have to read the books in order. It is kind of connected standalones about 2 different sisters. So the first book, Phantasma, follows one sister, and then the second book, Enchantra, follows the other sister. Phantasma was one of my favorite reads last year. It was so good. It took place at like a haunted house in New Orleans where a bunch of people are competing to get like a favor from a magical creature, and the vibes were just so spooky, so good. I will say Phantasma was definitely on the spicy side. I think Enchantra is also going to be on the spicy side, but if you are okay with spice, Phantasma is my go-to book recommendation when someone's looking for a spooky season book. It is just so perfect for like October spooky season, and literally I might just keep recommending it in these videos until October because you have to read that book in that season. Like it's just so perfectly matches those vibes. I might regret reading Enchantra not during spooky season, but I was just really feeling like picking it up, and it takes place in like an Italian villa. So at least so far in the book, it's spooky, but not like as stereotypically spooky as a haunted house in New Orleans. I think my like spooky season read this year is definitely going to be the sequel to Bunny. I forget the name, but I'll put it up if I remember, because I loved Bunny by Mona Ayiwad, and I'm so excited that a sequel is coming out. I think this is going to be the end of our weekend vlog. Thank you all so much for spending a super introverted weekend at home, doing all my favorite cozy things, and starting marathon training together, as well as starting a new writing project together, which is so exciting. If you all are keen on more content just about living in London, writing, literary stuff, a little bit of marathon training, though this channel is definitely a little bit more on like the literary side. But if any of that sounds interesting, I would love if you would hit subscribe and maybe comment down below what aspects of everything I just mentioned sound the most interesting to you.